Shalom, when the staff source by giving all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushua, Ba'Shem, Kakudash, double honors to the apostles of great Most High, and honors to you brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's real name of whom the world ignorantly calls God, Jehovah. Yahweh, his real name is Yahweh. Son's true name is Yahushua, and when we pray Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushua, meaning in, meaning the, and Shem, and he names Yahweh in the name of Yahushua. Just wanted to touch on this thing that I found actually rather interesting. Slovakia, and it kind of goes into just basically, the need for us to be, prudent, when we're using these, these platforms, these, messaging and stuff like that, because everything leaves a trace. Okay, let me look for something real quick. This is Proverbs 14:15. The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. Right. And one of the things is we got to be prudent. We got to be, considering what could happen, right? Which sometimes, E has made some certain of this technology so ubiquitous, you don't think at times that you could be leaving a trace, but you're leaving a trace, right? So this is something that I came across, right? It says this is nasty steganography. Alright, so 10 years ago they embed your account ID in video game screenshots. Today, any photo you take, any screenshot from camera, phone or laptop might embed your device ID or worse. Right, it's nearly impossible to know. Right, and if he has this at his disposal, best believe he's going to use it. Right. Another thing as well is. You see this here, right? Allegedly, right? I've not double checked this, right? But it says every AI image, text, audio from Google Chat GPT is watermarked, right? It gives a list of of different sources to basically back that up, right? You also read with this one as well. Cameras carry a whole load of metadata on them, right? Especially if you've ever used something like Flickr. Right, FLICKR, that platform from back in the day when you'd upload something and then afterwards when you viewed an image, you'd be able to see, hey, the camera it was taken on. If it was like a more upmarket, it might have the GPS coordinates, shutter speed, a whole lot of other information, right, added to it. Right, what's all of this to say? I can just be prudent, man. Do you need to share that thing? Who you sharing with, and if is it one where you can share it to them but they may share it to someone else, right? I did one a few weeks ago about when you're copying, not a few weeks but a few months ago, about when you're copying social media links, right? All social media links have tracking IDs on there, right? And some of the other social media links, right, like to add a thing to be like, hey, follow this person, which we've all seen it when, especially if you're not if you're not on a particular platform, it'll be like, sign up to follow such and such, right? So of course, if you're then sharing something from your from from your Truth account, right, and then if you're just or if you're sharing a link as part of a video, as an example, from a personal account, and then that link is then you're then putting that in the video description, that's just then linked you to that account. Okay, so it's just being prudent. TikTok is definitely the worst for that because you can't see the tracking parameters. So yeah, maybe that's a thing where you're doubly careful of sharing TikTok stuff. Okay, or it's one you just download it and then you share it that way. There are platforms where you can download videos and stuff like that if you really wanted to share it. But it's just a thing. Once again, just to be doubly careful, online, because everything leaves a trace. Okay, which is why Spirit has me say, people that are watching and on the sidelines, but they're scared, right? You might as well just do it, right? Because it's what does the scripture say, right? Right, this is James 2, right, and 17. It says, even so faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. Right, so faith needs works, right? So once again, those are just on the sidelines, they're watching, but then you're like, oh yeah, I don't want to, I don't want E to find out. One, right, faith is that the Lord is going to protect, right? You look at the apostles on down in the example that they've set, right? But then also Esau knows anyway, right? He knows everything that you're doing, where you're doing it, right? And once again, this for me, like, saw it, I was like, I mean, even look what they said, it's pure witchcraft. Right? Because the Lord has given E certain bits of understanding, right? It's Ezekiel 28:3, right? It says, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel, right? There is no secret that they can hide from thee, right? And the Lord, once again, this is wisdom, right? Because you may be just looking at an image, right? But that image basically has tracking information in it, right? You think about all the times you shared, imagery from video games, but these times it was, saying, which account ID it's coming from, and all of that stuff. Okay. So, yeah, man, the Lord has given this man certain bits of understanding, right? And he will use it against you, right? That's one of the things that we have to be really and truly like understanding of. He will use all of these things that he set up against you, against us. So let me frame it like that, right? Taking the example of Apostle Gabat, always says, pushes the idea of we as opposed to you, right? That he will use this, the things that we do, every trace that we leave against us, right? Because it is coming up to that time, right? What does the scripture say, right? This is Revelation 12:12, right? Therefore we rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Okay, so he's going to come down, but hey, what did the Lord say? Right, Isaiah 59:19. So they shall fear the name of Yahweh from the west, right, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against it. Right, so the Lord's going to fight for us, right? Regardless of whatever it is, whatever invention that Esau has, right? Because this is you look at it and it's like, yo, that's that's wild, right? But that's pretty much it, on that one. As always, Lord's Wood, I was edifying. Till next time, we say Shalom.